So I'm going to do the best I can to kind of glide through the activity that is 134, and I'm only going to go up to the end of the first part because that's what I'm going to have students submit with their initials on it. So hopefully I can do this in one video. Might end up being two. I don't know. Let's see. So I'm making a new sketch. I'm going to make it a rectangle. Sort of a pro tip as you're working. So I'm dual screening with the exercise. As you're drawing, on the bottom there it's got that text highlighted. That's supposed to be 6 inches. I can hit tab, it'll drop it over to the other dimension, and then I can hit enter. And so now it's automatically going to put those dimensions in, so I don't have to do that later. I can do that pretty much right in the beginning. And now we need a couple of lines to use as references. Now, I'll be honest, at some point I should probably figure out how to do construction lines. I used to know how to do them, but I haven't looked it up in a little bit. If I find it, I will show people in class. It says add 3 polygons inside of your sketched rectangle. And then it like tells you what they are. So the first one is an inscribed pentagon. And to create, we'll go to polygon, inscribed. So inscribed means this shape would fit inside of a circle of a given radius. So in this case, it's 0.35. And then it's a pentagon. So I'm going to hit tab to get over to the other window. I think you can also click on it, but I like using tab, it saves time. That's pentagon, so 5. Okay, there we go. So I want to make sure when I'm drawing these, I'm not going to want them to be locked on anything, but you can always delete a constraint if you get one by accident. So that was inscribed. Then we're going to make a circumscribed shape. So a circumscribed shape is going to be on the outside. Wait, am I flipping this? Of the circle. Huh, that's interesting. The circumscribed hexagon radius 0.25. 0.25. Okay. So in this case, the shape is outside the circle. All right, say okay. And an equilateral triangle with side lengths. So if the side lengths has to be 0.125, let me just see what my options are. We can do an edge polygon maybe. Do 0.125 or 1.25 rather. Enter. Number of sides 3, and that's pretty nice to just be able to drop that in. Okay, so now I've got some constraints to do because I want the hexagon over on this, and it should snap. Oh, whoops, I turned my snaps off. Should snap to that. So now that's adding a constraint to it. This snap to the middle there, go straight down. Going to put this on this this vertical edge here. All right, so it gives us a couple dimensions and it gives us a couple constraints. So kind of just going through and trying to figure out what rules are going to get it to the orientation that it needs to be. Coincident is a really good constraint. So I want that dot to be on this line. And then put it way up there. Not technically wrong, just annoying. So I'll bring it back down here. And now I can use a dimension to keep this thing on the page here. I'm going to go from that edge to that edge because they're telling me this is 0.5. So that'll keep that there. Then over here, they're telling me from the center of this to up here, it's 0.5. And then I'm going to hit escape to get out of that. I want this triangle to be on this line, but I want that dot to be on the line. So I'm going to coincidence to this. Whoops. Escape. That dot to that line. There we go. Okay. Actually, they have it right to the corner. So I'm going to Control Z to move it, or to undo it, because I actually want coincidence of that corner to that corner. Perfect. And then, yeah, that should be it. Okay, so that gets all the stuff in our starting position, and now we can work on a couple of pattern tools. Whoops. So we're going to do a rectangular pattern up here. Oh, they have this horizontal, so I'm going to make it horizontal. Under create, there's my pattern tools, and these work just like the 3D ones that we've done before. I'll select the object. So I'm going to go left to right to just select what's inside. If I go right towards left, it's going to be everything that touches, which would include that line, which I don't really want to include. Undo this selected. There we go. Cool. So I want that. We are going to pick a direction 1, drag this way, just to get the ball rolling. All right, so it's got as a wrong part of the page, 2 by 3 rows, or 3 over, 2 down. So I want the second axis to only be 2. Does it give us any guidelines on spacing? Doesn't look like it. So just their hexagons aren't touching. I'll go just past so the hexagons aren't touching, and I'll say OK. I don't want to finish sketch because I do want this all to happen in this one sketch. We don't need that one there because it's going to get in the way of our pattern of pentagons. So I'll select that one because I'm going to want to take that one. I selected it already, so it's already got its options selected for objects. I'll pick a center point in the middle here. Well, that's annoying. If it's not letting you select something specific, I can create a point right there. So a point is just going to be something that I can reference and use. So circular pattern, select center point. There, I actually selected a point. All right, it wants 5 of those, and that is how it wants them laid out. So I will say OK to that one. Now I'm going to do this triangle where it's going to go, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's got 7 of these things in a rectangular pattern, but it's only going one direction, and that's up. This, and it stops just shy of that, so they had 7 of these things overlapping, so I'll say OK. So that's the 2-dimensional layout of it. And then for the extrusion, there's a couple parts to that, but I'll just make this part 1 and then make a part 2 video dealing with the extrusions in the next part.